guys, welcome back to my channel. I am back with another review. This review is for the Real Housewives of Atlanta season 14 reunion part 2. So if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you know every time I upload a new video. This reunion part 2 was really messy and there was a lot of tea spilled, so let's just get right into it. So at the beginning of part 2 of this reunion, Marlo was talking about all the things that she went through in her life. And although I do have sympathy for her, because I have sympathy for anybody with a sad story, I do feel like she tries to use the things that she's went through in the past as an excuse for her bad behavior today. And I just really don't like that about her. And I feel like that's one of the reasons why she has such an issue with Kenya, because although Kenya has just as bad of a mouth as Marlo, I definitely feel like Marlo hits below the belt a lot more. Part of me feels like the reason why Marlo decided to really open up about the things that she's went through in her childhood throughout this reunion was because she wanted people to extend her grace for the way that she did her nephews this season. If you guys paid attention to this season, she had kicked her nephews out and sent them to live with her sister, who already has multiple children, and she's living in a 2-bedroom apartment, I believe. And so I just think that that was wrong on so many levels for Marlo to do that, not just because it would have affected the children in a negative way, because she gave them everything. She has the money, she has the nice house, she was able to put them in a nicer neighborhood, she was able to put them in a better school, and then she took them and sent them over to her sister, who really doesn't have much. That's not the only reason why. I just think it was really selfish of her, because her sister already has children, she works a lot, and she doesn't have all the money and the things that Marlo has. So I just don't think that Marlo should have took in her nephews if she couldn't handle it. Although I do understand that raising children could be really difficult, especially if they're not your kids. And so Marlo has stated before that she never really wanted children. So I can understand why it would be hard on her. I just think that the reason why she's playing this, oh my God, I'm a victim card, is because she wants people to ease up on the backlash that she got due to the situation with her nephews. And I feel like part of the reason why Marlo doesn't really like Kenya is because Kenya doesn't allow Marlo to make excuses for her bad behavior. Kenya definitely doesn't really extend any sympathy to Marlo when she tells her sob stories. And I do feel like Kenya can sometimes be hard on people, and she does say mean things to people. I feel like what she does is more so throwing shade, whereas when it comes to Marlo, she's really trying to hurt you with the things that she says, especially when she came for the situation with Kenya and her mom. We all know the story with Kenya and her mom, and for Marlo to use that as something to throw in her face in an argument, to me, was wrong. And then I didn't like the way that she did Kandi this season. The second that Kandi didn't agree with something that Marlo had to say as it pertained to Ralph adopting Drew's son, that was when Marlo completely switched up on Kandi and started throwing everything in her face regarding her personal life, her situation with her husband, her situation with her mom. And I just felt like those were things that Marlo always wanted to say to Kandi, and she waited until Kandi said one thing she didn't like for her to turn up on her. And so I feel like that's something that Marlo does a lot. I feel like she can be really hypocritical, and she's really not consistent with things. Although I definitely feel like her and Kenya have things that they need to work on with each other, because they definitely have a lot of similarities, but I definitely like Kenya more, so maybe I'm a little bit biased when it comes to them, because I'm not a fan of Marlo, although she is entertaining to watch because she does bring the drama, and that's what a lot of people watch the show for. I just feel like Marlo is a little bit too mean for me. Drew stated during this reunion that her husband Ralph was not happy about them calling him a gaslighter this season, but I felt like he is a gaslighter. I feel like he does it a lot. I can only imagine what he's like when the cameras are not rolling, and so I felt like it was justified for them to call him a gaslighter, because now he can watch what he does and maybe make some changes. But although I don't really think that he's going to do that, because I don't feel like he thinks he does anything wrong. I also feel like Drew is the type who doesn't really care what her husband does. She's going to stick beside him anyway, because she's so obsessed with having the title as a wife that she feels like she has to endure everything that happens negatively in her marriage, because, divorce is not an option when it comes to certain people. And so I just don't really take Drew's marriage seriously at this point. Also, I just feel like Drew gives really terrible advice because the advice that she gave Sonya this season about being obligated to give her husband a second child, even though she doesn't want one, because if she doesn't do it, another woman will, is really dangerous to give that type of advice to women, especially on national television, because you don't know who you're influencing. It just seemed like she puts everything on the woman, and that basically, if you don't do everything possible to make your husband happy, that he's justified to go out and cheat on you or treat you any type of way. That's what I got out of what she said. I don't know if that's really what she meant, but she tried to say on the reunion that that's not the way that she meant to say things. But then they showed the clip from Watch What Happens Live where she basically doubled down on what she said. And so I just feel like Drew doesn't like when she's called out on things. And so once she starts getting the backlash, then she tries to backpedal. The crazy thing about it is that during this reunion, Kenya said that her divorce is still not finalized, and she made a lot of excuses as to why it's not finalized, but part of me feels like her husband, Mark, is not cooperating because he still wants to have some form of control over Kenya's life, and as long as she's still dealing with this divorce with him, she's unable to fully move on with her life and be happy, and I feel like that's what he's trying to do. Now, this is all alleged. This is just my opinion. I don't know if this is true. Everything that Kenya said as to why the divorce is not finalized could be true, and I could just be reading a little bit too much into it, but that's what I got out of what she was saying. They started talking about the situation with Sonya's husband checking Sheree and Kenya. And listen, I had stated in my other reviews for this season that I don't think that he was aggressive, but I do think that because he was speaking to women, I don't think that he should have stood up when he was telling them that he didn't want them messing with his wife. I don't think he should have stood up. And I also don't think that he should have swore, specifically because he was talking to women, but I don't think that it was wrong for him to defend his wife. Sheree is the one who told Sonya that she needed to check Kenya whenever Kenya gets disrespectful with her, and so that's exactly what Sonya did. But Sonya ended up embarrassed in that conversation between her and Kenya because Kenya definitely put her in her place and shut her up during that conversation. I feel like Sonya is probably going to need another season on the show to be able to handle Miss Kenya more because she definitely could not handle her in that conversation and had admitted that as well. When they ended up showing the clip of Sheree and Marlo joking about Candy giving fellatio in a locker room, I cringed because you could tell that Candy really wanted to address them the way that she wanted to, but Andy really didn't let her address it for long, and so I just felt like it was really distasteful for Marlo and Sheree to do that to Candy because although Candy said it's not true, even if it were true, they're supposed to be her friends, and for them to sit there and complain that Candy hasn't been there for them as much as they want her to, but then in the same episode talk shit about her personal life, to me, it just comes off as really hypocritical. Do you really want her to be there for you, or do you want her to get close to you so that you can find out more information on her to use against her when you're mad? Like, to me, that's what I got out of that situation. I just think that Sheree tried to clean it up during the reunion saying that, well, Candy likes sex, she has a sex toy line, so that's the reason why people say things like that to her. That's not an excuse for you to supposedly be her friend and then you're saying that she sucked dick in a locker room. Like, to me, that was distasteful. During this reunion, things got really heated between Kenya and Marlo, and listen, I don't think that there's ever a chance for the two of them to be cool again because they've said too many horrible things to each other for them to ever come back from it. And listen, Kenya even put Marlo's real name on blast during this reunion. I don't know if that's Marlo's real name. I think she said that it wasn't. I think she said it was the name of her best friend, but who knows who's telling the truth in that situation. I just think that the two of them just need to leave each other alone because they're never going to be cool. At the very end of this reunion, things got really messy between Sheree and Drew because of the whole drama stemming from Sheree not paying people. There was this really messy assistant that was talking shit about both Drew and Sheree to one another. And then when he's confronted by it, he kind of switches sides. And so that's what happened at the end of this reunion. What happened in the episode was Drew's assistant went to her and told her that Sheree did not pay him, even though he was her assistant. And so Drew went and spread those those rumors. And when she spread those rumors, everything turned back on her, because when they were at, I think it was Kenya's daughter's birthday party, they played this really shady game. And basically, it came out that that same assistant was saying that Drew's husband was gay. And at that point, that's when Drew lost it on everybody, because she felt like people were coming for her husband. And that's when she got into it with Sheree's friend Fatum. Now, I think that Fatum is a little bit too messy for my taste, because she really went out and dug up Drew and her husband's information and then brought it to everybody's attention. And for me, somebody like that is too much of a snake for me, because I just don't understand why that little back and forth that she had with Drew gave her the reason to go and look up her information. And so that was a little bit weird to me. But Drew ended up playing this recording of Anthony stating that Sheree did not pay him and he was her assistant. But then Sheree decided to FaceTime this man during the reunion, and he switched sides. He basically said that Sheree owes him no money, that he was never her assistant, and that basically he doesn't remember saying that Drew's husband was gay, but he does believe that Drew needed a storyline. So those are my thoughts on this week's episode of the Real Housewives of Atlanta Reunion Part 2. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode down in the comment section. Don't forget to hit that like button for me. I appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more videos and hit the notification bell so that you know every time I upload a new video. Thank you so much to everyone who has subscribed to my channel. I appreciate you all. And until next time, I will talk to you guys in my next video.